1 free Prime subscription a month. Here's the 1-minute ad break now. All right, we're going to move on to Republicans and their agitprop against LGBT. This isn't exactly news, or new news rather, but more so a reinforcement of prior established attitudes. Hasan on Twitch, thank you for another 5 gifted subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the top of the hour ad breaks. Okay, here's the 1 minute. I already ran the ad. Here, let's watch. I'll be back in a second.
When did our public schools, any schools, become what are essentially grooming centers for gender identity radicals?
That is the latest GOP talking point. Republicans are now claiming that education, or even just conversations around gender identity and sexual orientation in schools or television programming, is a form of grooming children to become LGBTQ+.
There's never a time when a teacher needs to sit down with kids and tell them that, hey, you know, you're a boy, but you might actually be a girl.
This argument has surfaced in discussions of a recently passed Florida bill that, in part, prohibits classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in certain grade levels or in a specified manner. Critics are calling it the Don't Say Gay bill. Proponents are calling it the anti-grooming bill.
If you really want to talk to a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old about their sexuality and gender, that's on you. You're a pervert. You're a weirdo. I don't give a damn if you're a teacher.
Like maybe teach the kids to read before you tell them to go trans. You shouldn't be talking to kindergartners about gender identity, especially if you're not their parents. That's creepy. You should be arrested for that.
Look, there's a reason why the Democrats are treating this bill like it's the apocalypse. All we're telling them is you can't groom young children. Yeah. And to them, it's...
This motherfucker... Oh, my God. I'm not even... Oh, my Lord. Okay. All right. This is just... Holy shit.
It's Armageddon, and that's because they know they have to indoctrinate the kids into this madness very, very young.
The supposed indoctrination of the nation's children isn't just in schools, according to conservatives. It's also in media.
Now it's all about pushing a sexual agenda on little children across their entertainment platforms.
You don't have to be afraid to, like, let's have these two characters kiss. Let's, in the background, I was just, wherever I could, just basically adding queerness.
They've been really open to exploring queer stories.
Disney wants to completely take your children and they want to indoctrinate them into sexual, immoral filth.
The fact that we are trying to accelerate our kids in this direction is incredibly concerning. For me as a parent,
the fact that they want to sexualize our children and our children's childhoods for their own political agenda is incredibly disturbing. Instead of making...
Okay. Before this continues, I have to say something here. Like, gay people exist in society, okay? Trans people exist in society. Lesbians exist, okay? Fuck it. You know, bi visibility. Bi people exist. Ace people exist. These are just like human beings, you know, just like you and I. I might be a dirty cishet breeder, okay? But, you know, this is something that I acknowledge, okay? As an LGBTQIA+ foe, I acknowledge that these are people that are live and alive, okay? So, cat's out of the bag, guys, all right? Cat's out of the fucking bag. Toothpaste out of the fucking tube, okay? Can't put it back in. So... the mention of such realities in popular culture is not grooming. The mention of such reality in the real world, what is going on in the real world, is not in some ways nefarious. The only people that think it's nefarious and disgusting and bad are people who are just bigoted and think that you can catch the gay by, I don't know, seeing it in movies and shit. Ironically, it's grooming in the other direction when you try to hide it And if it's so bad, don't let your kids watch it. It's so crazy. I mean, that's grooming. Like, that is grooming. When you're like, I won't let my kids watch that gay shit. Like, okay, what do you think? Like, you're gonna try to hide that reality from your children? That's what you're gonna try to do? You're gonna keep up this thing where it's like, no, gays are not around. That's not real. And of course, this is yet another nonsensical culture war fucking attitude, argument, whatever, but that will have a material impact on the lives of many LGBTQ people in the country. It's just another way to drum up support from some of the worst, most psychotic Republican voter base weirdos, okay? And now they're basically saying that, the mere mention or the recognition of the existence of people that are LGBTQ in media is straight up grooming. The irony, of course, which makes it even funnier, there's two things I want to discuss here. One, this is deeply hypocritical coming from Republicans who love child beauty pageants and child marriages, okay? Straight up. And pedophilia and abolishing the age of consent. Like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, you the party of Dennis Hastert? Really? You're going to fucking act like, you care about grooming? Holy fuck. That's actual grooming, dumbass. You can't, on the one hand, want to fuck children, and then on the other hand, be like, also, children learning about gay people is actually, that's the real grooming.
30 months, that's
disgusting. So if you do truly care about pedophilia, and I do, then maybe do some housekeeping, Clean up your own goddamn house.
Hi, chat.
Okay, so trans is a pandemic and mentioning it is akin to grooming. So turning that around, does that mean people denying or playing down C-19 should be tried for million counts of attempted murder? Like, we got a whole party lost in the sauce. Have you read Your Brain Dead? Yeah. Now let's finish this, and then there's a really good video I'm going to show you about who the real groomers are.
They're actually making films that will indoctrinate them.
Their main, quote, goal as a company is now to teach kindergartens in Florida that they can, in fact, change their gender just by wishing it so. It makes you wonder if kids in Florida can consent to chemical castration with no parental involvement.
This isn't programming. This is propaganda for grooming.
According to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, or RAIN, grooming is defined as manipulative behaviors that the abuser uses to gain access to a potential victim, coerce them to agree to the abuse, and reduce the risk of being caught. So, not what Republicans are talking about. I spoke to Sarah Kate Ellis, president and CEO of GLAAD, to understand a bit more about Republicans' misuse of the word grooming. What are conservatives really saying here?
To put this in context, politicians who are anti-LGBTQ have been using this false narrative, and
it's also fucking awesome because, like, they're doing the classic thing that Republicans love doing, where it's like you're a dumb guy and you're describing something that's like normal and innocuous and like a part of a healthy society, and you're turning it into like a nefarious secret thing. It's like, ooh, did you guys know? Here, I'll describe it to you, okay? I'll use a different example that doesn't revolve around like education or children for a second. You mean to tell me that the government is going to assign a number for me at birth and document every little thing I goddamn do? Are you out of your fucking mind? No way in hell. Okay, Social Security. If you describe it like that to a bunch of fucking psychotic wingnuts, they're going to be like, oh yeah, you're right, brother. You're right. That's fucking bullshit. Like, your Social Security number. Yeah, we need to fight against that. Okay? Or I don't know, fucking, you mean to tell me that I, as a red-blooded American, have popped out my child and have to send him to this other institution that the government controls, where an adult is taking care of that child and putting filthy communist propaganda like sharing is caring in the minds of my child, telling him that incest is not right? How dare you? Public education. You can make anything sound fucking insane if you are relying on how fucking stupid your captive audience is. And that is precisely what they do with the CRT stuff, and that's precisely what they're doing with the anti-LGBT stuff now. Okay? GOP is calling teaching and indoctrination just like they call anything race-related CRT. It's fucking despicable. Exactly. Okay?
Stereotype for decades now. LGBTQ people have been falsely accused of crimes and have not been hired as teachers all the way back to Harvey Milk and Anita Bryant days.
Yeah, good old days, brother. That's right. When them gays were behind closed doors, you know, when we could hide them. Made sex a lot more, made my cruising a lot more fun. Very selfish. Okay, I'm not playing into the meme that like every homophobe is secretly gay or whatever. Okay, that's played out and ironically homophobic. I'm not saying that, but like I do think that some of these motherfuckers want to cruise and they're like, it's more fun when it's like hidden. Okay, they're just like selfishly, exercising their desires. Okay, they're like, yeah, come on. Let's do it. I want to keep hiding it. It's just fucked up. It's fucked up, I know, but whatever. Anyway, all jokes aside though, I've talked about this before where it is I've talked about this before where this is just such a ridiculous fucking story. It's so crazy. Like I have been saying in all of my advocacy for trans rights over the course of the past, like fucking 6-7 years, very publicly, that the arguments launched against trans people were simply were one, the exact same arguments launched against gay people. They were just literally changing one fucking word, okay, from trans to gay, or from gay to trans, because that was seen as like the acceptable target, okay, once legalization of gay marriage happened, right? And that it was always going to revert back.
Chat, thank you for 9 months.
I've also mentioned that, are you a chaser? No, I am not. I've also mentioned that, Jesus Christ. I've also mentioned that the idea, we're not going to get into the chaser discourse. That's the fucking trans people business. I'm not going to open that door in any capacity, okay? It's way too complicated of a thing, okay? It's a fetishization, yada, yada, yada. This is like, leave it up to the elderly trans, the trans council to fucking figure it out, and then we can describe it or talk about it. Don't do that. Don't do that thing where you like drop something completely fucking irrelevant to the conversation, okay? Anyway. So the talking points have always been the exact same. They're faking it for attention. They're also fucking, they're gay people are faking it for attention, just like trans people are faking it for attention. Gay people are also, predatory. They're grooming. Trans people are also predatory and grooming. These are all the same exact fucking arguments, okay? With ultimately the same goal is just like pushing people behind closed doors and hiding it, like hiding just a very natural phenomena. Hiding a very natural fucking thing that occurs in the wild and has happened throughout history, across every fucking culture in various different ways. Okay? That's it. And it's a very, it's a really nefarious, really horrible, really fucking bigoted way and a cheap way to try to galvanize support. Okay? You know, some people are your friends for life until you are describing such things like this. They are now your real enemy. What? Sadly, the homophobic and trans rhetoric are the normative position, and for a ton of Americans, the F slur is simply a part of their vocab, even as an adjective. Is really disgusting. Yeah. It's a committee, not a council. My bad, Chelsea. So, anyway. So none of this is new, and I've always said that progress is unstoppable, right? And perhaps I'm wrong in that assessment. I always say progress is like a river. You can only stand in the way of it. You can put rocks, and that will turn into eddies. Okay, However, you have to constantly keep up support, because the moment that you stop pushing, Republicans, reactionaries will come in and literally fucking turn around and revert that as best as they can. And this is a great example of this. You stop the pressure, you stop pushing, you stop focusing on you go, hey, Brandon is here, it's time to go back to brunch, and boom, Republicans will use any mechanism of power they can, like the state legislatures now, to push for these insane, psychotic fucking bills, like Don't Say Gay in Florida. Okay? While simultaneously creating national discourse around the conversation that associates being gay with grooming children. Being gay in public is now grooming children. That's the way they're operating. Okay? And for those of you asking what's the benefit of these bills, it's to create battle lines. That's what wedge issues are for. Even if most Americans don't give a fuck for the most part, okay? They can be molded, or at least those who are incredibly active in the political cycle, the actual voter base in the Republican Party that are very mad all the fucking time and are very deeply homophobic, that will go out to the fucking polls and vote. You're activating those guys by creating discourse around this issue. Let's continue.
Well, it sounds like the behavior of a sex offender. I mean, normal people don't sexualize underage children, period.
We are letting them control the.
Once again, saying that gay people exist or showing that gay people exist is not inherently sexual. Okay? Just because heterosexuality is the normative position does not change the reality that, gay people exist in society alongside straight people, okay? And the mere mention of that in popular art as a reflection of what's going on in society does not mean it is automatically and magically fucking sexual. However, that is the way that a lot of Republicans operate. They're like, oh, it's sexual. It's immediately. You see a gay person, you see two gay men holding hands, that's sexual. That's sexual. They're doing gay sex. Why? Why is it that when you see someone, okay, when you see two gay dudes walking around, maybe even kissing each other, okay, why is it that automatically you go to like, oh, they're having butt sex? Why? It's psychotic. It's insane. That's your fault. That's your problem. And most normal human beings don't do that. Most normal human beings don't fucking go into like, oh, they must be having butt sex right now. They're going to have butt sex after this. Yeah, that's right. They're going to fuck each other. They're going to fucking suck.
Narrative here, because these bills actually aren't even about that. These bills are about censorship. Mommy, Mama, and Me, which was one of my kids' favorite books, is not allowed in that classroom anymore. So my kids can read about a mom and a dad and a child, but not two moms and a child.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. It's like heterosexuality is the normative position. So obviously no one is ever going to question you fucking talking about moms and dads. That's normal. But when you talk about dads and dads, or you talk about moms and moms, oh, God forbid you talk about trans people, holy fuck, all of a sudden, that's grooming. That's wrong. That's morally abhorrent. That's actually sexual. That's sexual. That's deviant. You're grooming. You're grooming. You're grooming.
Damn.
It's bullshit. Really damaging. Really fucked up. And it is a gigantic double standard, obviously. And this is why it's also fucking hard to defend shit like this from a leftist position, because you have to literally reshape the way that we understand certain things. It's like you're constantly going up against what is otherwise the normative position of like at least a century of Western dominated thought that goes all the way back to our puritanical values, that goes all the way back to like the church's involvement in trying to increase the birth rate. You know what I mean? That creates this understanding and concept of like, men fucking other men is actually somehow bad. Okay. It's just, there's a century long effort that you have to go against when you're just literally fucking saying, look, this is normal. Okay. This is a natural thing. Please be fucking normal. Okay.
And therefore, the message that they are being sent is that they don't matter, that their family is less than. And that is the danger in all of this. Because if we look at what's going on with our LGBTQ families and our LGBTQ youth, they are under siege right now. In 2021, 1 out of every 4 LGBT.
Isn't that quite literally how being gay in public described in Soviet Russia, so not just Western? Yes, bourgeois decadence can sometimes be a substitute for moral degeneracy. In the Western world, fascists will call this moral degeneracy, moral decay, okay? Created by the Frankfurt School to destroy Western civilization, which is supreme. And in certain fucking antiquated and conservative fucking I guess Marxist or socialist countries. I don't know why the fuck you're like immediately trying to find an example of Soviet Russia. Like, yeah, okay, they were homophobic. Give me a fucking break. I don't give a shit. I live in America, dumbass. Soviet Union is gone. Okay, so you got it. That's true, but Lenin literally decriminalized gay sex. I know, and we've also talked about the Ottoman Empire also decriminalizing gay sex. As well, so it is. You can trace it again. You can trace that attitude more so to the fucking Western world, that kind of counter back to the Western world before you fucking rush to be like Stalin hated homosexuals. Okay, you got it. Hasan is unapologetically pro-Soviet in all circumstances, no matter what. Hasan is actually anti-gay now. What? I was kidding. Oh, okay. Jesus Christ, dude. What the fuck? Anyway. First of all, I've been an LGBT foe. Do not misunderstand me. I am still an LGBT foe, okay? Not an ally, but a foe. What I'm talking about here is just different. Just don't, it's irrelevant to my main position, which I am an unapologetic foe of the LGBT community. An enemy. A foe. An enemy. Anyway, so, I love that people will like take that seriously. Some people now think that. You know what I mean? I've been Anyway, let's continue.
LGBTQ teen attempted suicide. Sit with that for a minute. And now this year, we've seen over 200 anti-LGBTQ bills that have been put forth. And half of those are anti-trans, and most of them are against our trans youth. What I'd love to see these politicians do is lift these kids up, is to help these kids and these families instead of pushing them down. There's an Equality Act that has been stalled in the Senate that would actually give us protections. There are a number of things that as an LGBTQ community, we're not safeguarded against. We can still be fired in some states for jobs. We could still be denied public housing. Them choosing to instead come after the community instead of help the community is a horrible, horrible thing. There's always time to redeem yourself. It's never over. And I think that I'd love to see some of them come to terms with this, because I guarantee there isn't a family in America that does not have an LGBTQ person in it. And that includes their families.
So, leave it to a woman to be traumatized over something that didn't happen to her? What the fuck? How did you find a way to insert misogyny into this conversation, brother? I mean, how? You know what? I would normally ban you, but I got to celebrate that for a second. Good one, dude. Fucking, that's awesome. Like the person is literally like the fucking head of GLAAD, okay? And this guy came in, saw that, assumed that she's not LGBT, and literally was like, fuck women. Oh, that's awesome. That's actually awesome.
Chat is wild.
That's wild. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about, first of all, we're going to cover this from two fronts. One, obviously we're going to talk about how damaging this is. We are going to talk about how awful this is. But before we get to that, let's talk about how fucking old this is, okay? This idea that, like, gay people are fucking trying to do pedophilia is a super, super old concept. I mean, even yesterday when we were watching the Abba and Preach video, when they brought up completely irrelevant as a non sequitur, when they fucking pulled the idea that, like, well, trans women can fucking lie about being trans to do rapes, like, to be predatory, like, not saying that they do, but they can. That's just a super, super antiquated, super old fucking concept. So let's take a look at from the 50s, some propaganda.
That looks innocent enough, doesn't it? Lots of young people hitchhike. Seems like a good way to get from one place to another. But sometimes there are dangers involved that never meet the eye. Let's take the case of Jimmy Barnes. Jimmy played baseball all afternoon, and he didn't feel like walking home, so he decided to thumb a ride.
Brother Hasan, in America, everything is so perfect that you have time to think about a man's anus. Yeah, dude. That's what this is. Talking about protections for LGBTQ people and ensuring that, like, the wave of legislation against them is purged and the propaganda towards them conducted, calling them fucking, predators, showing that it's, like, all the way from the 50s is the exact same thing. That's actually me thinking about male butt. I love that. I'm always thinking about male ass, dude. A noose specifically. Yeah, I have shown this on stream before.
He'd done it 100 times before, and he didn't think anything was unusual when the driver struck up a friendly conversation. In fact, he seemed like a real nice guy. He asked Jimmy if he played baseball in the park often. Jimmy told him they practiced 3 times a week and played a rival group on Friday afternoon. The stranger was a good listener, too, and it only seemed minutes before they pulled up in front of Jimmy's house.
I'm gay.
When Jimmy got out, the stranger gave him a friendly pat. Then he told him he'd see him again, as he always drove by the park on his way home. Jimmy hadn't enjoyed himself so much in a long time. Then during lunch, Ralph showed him some pornographic pictures. Jimmy knew he shouldn't be interested, but, well, he was curious. What Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick, a sickness that was not visible like smallpox, but no less dangerous and contagious, a sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual, a person who demands an intimate relationship with members of their own sex. But by now, Jimmy felt a fondness for Ralph, and they continued to go places together. Ralph was generous and took Jimmy many interesting places and did many nice things for him.
Yep. I mean, we can continue the propaganda, but the homophobic propaganda to show you, why this stuff is not new, if you want, but
Hassle.
Can't believe they wouldn't even play, the heterosexual golf, which is just golf, whereas they ended up playing the gayest version of golf, which is mini golf, of course.
He bought presents and even gave him money, but payments were expected in return. You see, Jimmy hadn't recognized Ralph's approach soon enough. When Ralph first asked Jimmy to go fishing alone, he should have discussed it with his parents or teacher. Finally, Jimmy told his parents, and they...
The greatest example of what you're watching here is what Matt Walsh, famously, who was on that video, once said, where he literally made an excuse for the pedophilia in the Catholic Church, and then said the real problem in the Catholic Church is not pedophilia, it's actually homosexuality. Okay? Where he was like, I'll excuse pedophilia, I cannot excuse homosexuality. Do you guys remember that? Let's see if I can find it. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Matt Walsh, the theocratic fascist, by his own words, for the record, basically said, pedophilia I can excuse in a tweet. But, the homosexuality I can't stand. Wait, what the fuck? Wait, why can't I find the fucking actual tweet? God damn it. Oh, here it is. The pedophile scandal in the Catholic Church is not a pedophile scandal. The vast majority of victims are post-pubescent teens and young men. The real problem in the church that everyone sees and few will say out loud, gay priests. My man, straight the fuck up, said, I can excuse the pedophilia, but I cannot excuse homosexuality. Okay? And there's so many examples of this, which is why I think it's laughably, one, old school, but also, two, incredibly hypocritical.
They reported it to the juvenile authorities. Ralph was arrested, and Jimmy was released on probation in the custody of his parents. But all homosexuals are not passive. Some resort to violence, as in the case of Mike Merrick. In the heat of competition, no one noticed the man who sat and watched. And when the game broke up and the others left, Mike decided to stay in practice.
Oh yeah, additional notes for the actually it's a phebophilia, okay? That makes it that makes it all the better. Matt Walsh hit that classic libertarian high note of saying actually it's not even pedophilia, it's ephebophilia.
Practice a little longer. The stranger joined him. He was friendly and, well, it was better than playing alone. But after a few shots, Mike realized he had already overstayed his time and suggested he better leave. The stranger told...
My man is doing, by the way, pedophilia out in the fucking public with a goddamn tuxedo and a bow tie on. Like, he just dressed up. This morning, he woke up and he was like, I'm going to go do the predatory sex shit, okay? But I got to make sure that I'm dressed to the fucking nines, dude. That's his... This is some real Tory behavior, okay? This right here has nothing to do with homosexuality and everything to do with being a fucking Tory, all right? Straight up. This is like, what are you I did not have famously Prince Andrew saying, I did not have my noncery shirt on. I would never be caught dead in public without my shirt on that I engage in with my nonce shirt. My grooming shirt. That's actually Reese Mogg. I mean, it's all of them.
Told him if he'd like to stay longer, he'd be glad to drive him home when they finished. Sounded great to Mike. Chance to play longer and get a ride home, too.
I mean, brother, Mike should have fucking figured out right out the jump that homie's there in a tux. Who plays basketball in a tuxedo, bro? That's a red flag, dude. Get the fuck out of there. Get out of there. He's got a bow tie on. The fuck?
Have you seen this?
When they finished, the stranger told him he'd make a fine player someday if he got lots of practice. The companionship, the praise, the friendly attitude dispelled any misgivings Mike might have had about going with a stranger. He probably never realized until too late that he was riding in the shadow of death. But sometime that evening, Mike Merrick traded his life for a newspaper headline. Public restrooms can often be a hangout for the homosexual.
Bro, literally the same shit. Bathrooms, dude. Oh, watch out. Watch out for bathrooms. That's where the gays are hiding, okay? Look at that. That's crazy. These motherfuckers, these conservatives, straight up cannot come up with a new idea, okay? To save their fucking lives, they could not come up with a new idea. It's always the same shit, okay? It's the same exact shit.
Bobby and his friends hadn't noticed the man who had been in the restroom when they changed, and as it was late, he suggested they take the shortcut under the pier, but the others preferred to take the more traveled way home. When Bobby recognized the stranger as the man in the restroom,
These guys recycle talking points like hipsters recycle fucking fashion trends, dude. I swear to God. Every fucking hipster is like now dressing like the 90s. You know what I mean? Like the 90s are back, or the 2000s, like a pre-LGBT like marriage legalization era. And they are fucking using the same talking points from that era, okay? It's the same shit. Says you, bro, I don't dress like anything, okay?
the shortcut under the pier didn't seem like a good idea at all.
Someone in the chat heard me make this very obvious joke and said, "Fashion is cyclical, dumbass." That's what you got mad at, dude? Thank you for defending fashion. Thank you for defending the honesty, the honor and integrity of fashion cycles. I know. That was the joke. That was the whole point.
18 months long.
After all, it's more fun to stay with your friends anyway. Bobby had made a wise decision. It may have saved his life. One never knows when the homosexual is about. He may appear normal, and it may be too late when you discover he is mentally ill. So keep with your group, and don't go off alone with strangers unless you have the permission of your parent or teacher.
My man said the homosexual might appear normal. Wait, what the fuck? This week,
Do
lesbian?
you regard yourself as being exactly the same as everyone else except in your private sex life?
Well, certainly, yes. I don't think there's...
Lesbians. Okay, we're going to do that for sure as well, okay? We're absolutely going to fucking do that. That's awesome. So here it is. In this vile new discourse, grooming, Maddie Iglesias says, in this vile new discourse, grooming is defined as just like same-sex couples existing, exactly why people have been alarmed about the vague wording of the Florida law. Groomergate, says Breitbart, 15 times Disney promoted LGBTQIA2S plus in children's programming. Dude, what the fuck? I didn't even know there was a 2 and an S there. You know what I mean? Like, these motherfuckers are saying Two-Spirit now. I didn't even know that Two-Spirit was like a separate designation that was added on to the LGBT, convention, naming convention. But Breitbart's more woke than I am. Holy fuck. Jesus Christ. They're like, yeah, Breitbart's about to do land acknowledgments before they fucking dunk on indigenous people and call for further genociding them. You know what I mean? Breitbart's like, yes, we are headquartered on, on indigenous land. Also, we will never stop until every water supply is tainted with our pipelines. Okay. Two-Spirit is found in Native American culture. I'm pretty certain. Yeah, it is. That's why I'm. Why do you think I'm making land acknowledgement jokes? Chatter, keep up. Yes. Okay. Disney Channel's Good Luck Charlie and Disney Junior's Doc McStuffins featured lesbian moms. The horror! The two animated series for children have both featured lesbian couples. Good Luck Charlie aired an episode in 2014 in which one of the 4 children has a play date. Dude, I love the idea that like a Breitbart guy has to watch all the Disney movies, like freaking the fuck out, looking for like, ooh, is there a mention? Is there someone who's queer coded? This is literally the other side of BuzzFeed. This is just like hateful BuzzFeed at this point. You know what I mean? Like, which queer coded characters from Pixar absolutely slay queened, but on like the psychotic reactionary side of that equation, okay? Liberals do the same exact thing when they're like, oh, who's your favorite queer coded Pixar mom with a fat ass? And then, you know, this is the Breitbart version of that, okay? Doc McStuffins had an episode in 2017 featuring lesbian moms voiced by openly gay actresses Wanda Sykes and Portia de Rossi. You know, we got to jail him. That's crazy.
Okay.
Imagine. I can't help but consistently say, who fucking cares? Why the fuck do you care? But of course, when I say that about trans issues, people say, Hasan, a lot of people do. Yeah, they do because they're fucking transphobic. And they care about this because they're, you know, anti-LGBT. They're bigoted. That's why.
None.
So never back down from that position of like, you don't care about this. This is fucking ridiculous. Shut the fuck up. This is not an issue at all. Okay? Shut up. You're making this an issue. Anyway, but here is the greatest fucking, once again, here's the greatest self-report. There is a lot of parents, myself included, who don't like seeing gay characters in cartoons for little kids. There's no way to answer questions about that without getting into sexuality, which is what we're trying to avoid. And it's been snuck in on purpose, Soros style.
Right.
Bro, you are literally a fucking freak and your children should be taken away from you if you can't describe, you know, a man loves a woman just like your mom and dad, okay? And they get together and they have children without talking about sex. If you can do that, then you can do that for a man and a man can love each other as well. Or a woman and a woman can love each other as well, just like your mommy and daddy. Okay, that's it. Done. End of conversation. You don't have to get into the nitty gritty. You don't have to literally be like, and butt sex is, and this is how butt sex is happening. And also, this is a two-way dildo. Like, you don't have to get into any of that shit, okay? Here's a dual-pronged fuckmaster that you can use as a strap-on. Like, you know. What are we doing? Like, you can't just say, like, a daddy and daddy can also love one another the same way that mommy and daddy love each other? You can't do that? No. He's like, no, I must. I have to talk about butt sex. I have to. I can't stop talking about pulsating dicks. I can't stop thinking about that. So, that shit is fucking psychotic. You're insane? Yes, I am insane. It says resist inertia. I'm insane for saying, you know, daddy and daddy can love one another. Wait, what? Why are you throwing up transgender pride and then saying they're right? What happened, bro? You good? He's just going through the motions. The chatter is going through the motions. He was like, I'm actually pro-trans. And then today he's like, no, he's like, he's pro-trans, but Caitlyn Jenner, guys. Caitlyn Jenner's in the chat. Pro-trans, but homophobic. You gotta have that. You gotta have that. You gotta throw people for a loop there. You know what I mean? Anyway, so the internet, of course, stays undefeated. Immediately, someone went through and fucking found that same guy, okay? That same dude who now locked his account, by the way, of course. And his, like, takes on, I don't know what website this is, like Yelp or something. Pretty good, not a bad place. A little crunchy and liberal for me. Decent food and value. Chickpeas as a side. However, let's just say that this is a popular place for hot girls born in the late 1990s and no memory of 9/11. I have no other way of saying that than just to say it. Oh my jizzle. Fellas of Bristol, head down to Franklin Street. Do it. Do it. I mean, the worst thing here is not him like signaling to other pedophiles to do some nonsense, some good old-fashioned nonsense. That's not the worst part of this. The worst part of it is he said, "Oh my jizzle." To make matters worse, this was in 2015. Okay, this wasn't in like 2020 where he wrote, "Girls don't know about the girls that don't know about 9/11." He wrote this in 2015, which means he's talking about 15-year-olds. Okay. Anyway. Woo! Bro, you literally say blammo? Shut the fuck up. This is not about me, okay? I am not on trial here, sir. I will say blammo all I fucking want. Anyway, so that's really cool. They found this immediately and were like, they were eating his ass in the QRTs. But this is, unfortunately, once again, with many of the other Republican psychotic agitprop, a case of pure projection. Republicans love talking about homophobia and homophobic shit, saying that it's like grooming, actually, like acknowledging the existence of gay people is grooming, acknowledging the existence of gay people is grooming, and then actually do grooming. Like literally the real grooming, okay? I'm talking child brides. I'm talking fucking, straight up doing pedophilic actions and defending pedophilia. What was that TikTok account, the Libs of TikTok account, who like literally defended Milo Yiannopoulos? Do you guys remember that shit? They had a tweet, because I can't believe I'm saying this, but like, of course, Libs of TikTok, unfortunately, is like a primary agitprop creator at this point, okay? Where they're dictating Republican policy because Republicans will get on anything and everything. Does anyone know? Does anyone know what that tweet is? The Libs of TikTok account, like literally straight up defending Milo Yiannopoulos. Because Libs of TikTok is like one of the primary sources for all this fucking psychotic, agitated propaganda against, this grooming narrative that Republicans are now recycling. Oh, here it is. Milo Y didn't say anything wrong. Are people seriously arguing that you're not ready for sex under 16? That was all a distraction. The LGBT propaganda agenda is much more of a threat to the minds of children.
Hi.
So the real grooming, once again, so we established it. Matt Walsh said exactly the same thing. Libs of TikTok is saying the exact same thing. I wonder why Republicans keep saying this sort of thing all the fucking time. Let's take a look at Lebanon's absolute banger of a fucking video. The pedocon theory is a theory in the same way that the theory of gravity is a theory.
The stunning
The Blue Anon types are fucking blasting, okay? And I love the shit. Let's watch.
political scandal that is rocking Capitol Hill. Republican Congressman Mark Foley abruptly resigned Friday after questionable emails he sent to a teenage boy.
Dennis Hastert convicted of a financial crime, part of a scheme to mask something more egregious, his molestation of children.
Hush money used to pay a man who says Hastert sexually abused him when he was 14 years old.
There are now 5 former Ohio State wrestlers accusing Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of knowing about a team doctor's alleged sexual misconduct.
43 men who say they were sexually assaulted, abused, molested, or harassed by Dr. Richard Strauss.
George Nader. His criminal history included multiple convictions for child pornography and child molestation.
This morning, a judge sentenced Ralph Shorty to 50.
Remember we did the JCS of this, by the way, of Ralph Shorty, one of our certified banger episodes here at the HasanAbi broadcast when we looked at his sexual activity, where he quite literally was like responsible for an additional charge that he himself advocated for, which was like prostitution near a church, which ended up clapping his ass
15
too.
years in prison. Police caught Shorty in a hotel room with a then 17-year-old boy.
Roy more defiant as more accusers step forward, alleging sexual misconduct.
This is the shopping mall where some say it was common knowledge and not a big secret that Roy Moore would flirt with teenage girls when he was in his 30s.
One accuser says that
Literally barred from entry from the local mall, my friend. Barred from entry from his local mall because he would just use it as a hunting ground. That's the guy that Republicans were, pushing for aggressively.
Moore initiated a sexual encounter back in 1979 when she was just 14 years old.
The new charges against Joel Greenberg.
Sex trafficking of a minor and stalking a political opponent.
Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz allegedly having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl.
Investigators examining whether he, quote, violated federal sex trafficking laws.
Ghislaine Maxwell is accused of helping Epstein sexually abuse underage girls.
I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well.
That's a banger. You have to admit this is a banger. This is an absolute banger from the Libs. The Libs are popping off, and I'm with them, okay? This made me... Bro, this was great, okay? This actually was, this is the exact opposite of the "this is our fight song" type shit that liberals do regularly. Let's run that last one again. Boom. It's good. It's good shit. Fuck yeah. Respect. Okay? Conservatives don't actually care about the kids, so it won't work. No, dude, this is like fighting fucking fire with fire. Do a little bit of that. God damn it. I ask about this shit all the goddamn time. What the fuck? This is precisely what liberals need to do sometimes. Holy fuck. Make some goddamn agitprop, you idiots. Like, this is like Bush-era liberalism a little bit, okay? Because Bush-era liberalism used to do shit like this all the time, and then 9/11 happened, and then like liberals became brain-broken, violent Republicans, basically, but in every way, shape, or form that constantly fucking cave and capitulate to Republicans. This is good. This is, put a little bit of fire under their ass. Yesterday, former Trump campaign aide, GOP staffer Ruben Verastegui, was sentenced to 12 years in prison for his role in a child porn ring. The details are extremely disturbing. According to government's evidence from April 2020 through February 2022, Verastegui was active in an online group devoted to trading child pornography and discussing child sexual abuse. Verastegui shared child pornography videos with another member of the group and made numerous comments about sexually abusing children. Verastegui indicated his preference for babies, saying that they were his absolute favorite, and solicited another group of member for babies being raped. The other group member promptly sent Verastegui, oh God, Jesus fucking Christ, okay, a video of baby being raped. Holy fuck, which he responded enthusiastically. That guy, you can't save, okay, straight up. I'm sorry, holy fucking shit, you can't save that guy. Anyway, so that was definitely worth a trigger warning. I fucked up on that one. Holy fuck, that was disgusting. Okay. But yeah, such is the nature of Republican agitprop, such is the nature of how Republicans operate. So don't be fucking caught up in this dumbass argument. Remember, always push back. It's bullshit. Acknowledging the mere existence of gay people, living amongst straight people is not grooming. But like actual grooming is grooming, and Republicans engage in it regularly. Republicans have made basically a sport out of this sort of thing. So suck me, okay? That's one instance where Paulinism would work, though, the grinder. All right, so let's watch the alt-right playbook by Innuendo Studios. Innuendo Studios has made numerous incredible videos on how the alt-right argues. It's ever prescient. Obviously, because a lot of people in the liberal side on the internet, on the Debate Bro side, sometimes argue with exactly the same kinds of arguments. It's just